What does it mean to love someone so deeply that you'd let them go, even when it tears you apart? I sat in the back row of the wedding venue, the wooden chair creaking under my weight as the organ began its slow, reverent hum. The air was thick with the scent of roses and anticipation, and the crowd buzzed with whispered excitement. My daughter, Lily, was about to walk down the aisle, her white dress glowing like a promise of forever. I should have been at the front, my chest puffed with pride, my arm ready to guide her. Instead, I was here, tucked away in the shadows, while another mammy wife's ex-husband, Richard, stood in my place. It wasn't supposed to be like this. For 20 years, I'd raised Lily as my own. I bandaged her scraped knees, read her bedtime stories, and stayed up late helping with math homework she swore she'd never use. I wasn't her biological father, but I was her dad in every way that mattered. When she called me daddy for the first time, her tiny hand clutching mine, I swore I'd never let her down. But life has a way of rewriting promises. The divorce had been a slow burn, not a sudden explosion. My wife, Ellen, and I had drifted apart, our love eroding under the weight of small resentments and unspoken hurts. When Lily was 16, Ellen reconnected with Richard, her high school sweetheart and Lily's biological father. He'd been absent for most of Lily's life, chasing dreams in California while I was the one tucking her in at night. But when he returned, polished and remorseful, Ellen welcomed him back into their lives. I didn't fight it, not because I didn't care, but because I thought it was what Lily needed, a chance to know her real father. Now, for years later, I was paying the price. The wedding planner had called me a week ago, her voice hesitant. Lily wants Richard to walk her down the aisle, she said. It's complicated, but she'd love for you to be there. Be there, as if I were a guest at my own daughter's wedding. I swallowed the lump in my throat and said I'd come. For Lily, I'd do anything. The ceremony began, and the crowd turned as Lily appeared at the end of the aisle. She was radiant, her smile brighter than the chandelier lights above. Richard stood beside her, his arm looped through hers, his face beaming with a pride that felt stolen. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. I wanted to stand, to shout that I was the one who'd earned that spot. But I stayed silent, my heart a battlefield of love and betrayal. As they passed, Lily's eyes scanned the crowd. For a fleeting moment, they met mine. Her smile softened, and she gave a small nod, as if to say, I see you, Dad. It was enough to keep me anchored, but not enough to heal the ache. The reception was a blur of clinking glasses and forced smiles. I sat at a table near the back, surrounded by distant cousins and plus ones who didn't know my story. Ellen was at the head table, laughing with Richard, their ease a stark contrast to the tension that had defined our marriage. I sipped my wine, trying to focus on the joy of the day, but every laugh from the front table felt like a jab to my chest. Then came the twist I hadn't seen coming. As the band struck up a slow song for the father-daughter dance, I braced myself to watch Richard take Lily's hand. But instead, a small figure approached my table. It was Emma, Lily's best friend since kindergarten, her maid of honor. She was barely 5 feet tall, with a mischievous grin that hadn't changed in 15 years. Mr. Thompson, she said, her voice firm but kind, Lily needs you. I blinked, confused. Needs me? Emma grabbed my hand, pulling me to my feet. Come on, trust me. The crowd parted as she led me to the dance floor. Lily stood there, alone, her eyes shining with tears. Richard was nowhere in sight. The band paused, and the room grew quiet. Lily stepped toward me, her voice trembling but clear. Dad, she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I know I asked Richard to walk me down the aisle. I thought I needed to give him a chance to understand that part of my life. But I was wrong. You're my dad. You've always been my dad. Will you dance with me? The room seemed to hold its breath. My throat tightened, and for a moment I couldn't speak. Then I nodded, stepping forward to take her hand. The band began again, a soft melody wrapping around us as we swayed. Lily rested her head on my shoulder, just like she had when she was little, and whispered, "I'm sorry, Dad. I love you. I love you too, kiddo." I managed, my voice thick. As we danced, I caught Ellen's eye across the room. She was watching us, her expression unreadable. Richard stood beside her, his face a mix of resignation and acceptance. For the first time, I didn't feel anger toward him. He was part of Lily's story, but I was her father. That was enough. Emma, ever the instigator, winked at me from the edge of the dance floor. Later, she told me she'd orchestrated the moment, convincing Lily to follow her heart. "You're the one who's always been there," Emma said. She needed to see that. The rest of the night passed in a warm haze. I laughed with Lily's new husband, toasted with old friends, and even shared a brief, civil nod with Richard. The pain of the back row hadn't vanished, but it had softened, replaced by the certainty that love real, enduring love doesn't need a front row seat to matter. As the night drew to a close, Lily found me again, her hand squeezing mine. "Thank you for being here," she said. "I know it wasn't easy." I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "For you, Lily, I'd sit in the back row 1,000 times." And I meant it. Love isn't about claiming your place. It's about giving it up for the ones who matter most. In that moment, as the stars glittered above the venue and my daughter's laughter filled the air, I knew I'd made the right choice. Not just for her, but for me. Because being her dad wasn't about titles or spotlight, was about the quiet, unbreakable bond we'd built. One scraped knee, one bedtime story, one dance at a time.